Welcome to Unapologetically Sensitive, where you can learn, relate, laugh, and maybe even live a bolder, brighter life. I'm your host, Patricia Young, licensed clinical social worker. This is a weekly podcast where we explore the strengths we have because of our sensitivity and some of the challenges it poses as well. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for help from a licensed mental health professional. Hey there, this is bonus episode 26, and it's officially the last bonus episode in this 30-day challenge. However, because at the end of this episode we have a special meditation that was crafted especially for you by Chel Hamilton, I'm going to repost just the meditation as bonus episode 27. Anybody who wants to go back and re-listen to this meditation won't have to listen to the entire episode and search for it at the end. I can't believe it, you guys. We made it. 30 days of bonus episodes. This episode with Chel is amazing. And just to clarify, her name is spelled C-H-E-L, but it's pronounced Chel. And midway through the interview, she told me this, and as I was editing it, I realized that I still called her Chel sometimes. So, what can I say? It's kind of interesting how we met. I'm not going to repeat it right now, but if you want to go back to episode 16, which is called Why Asking for Things Can Be Hard, I talk about how serendipitous I think life is and why asking for what we want is really important. The show notes for this episode are just chocked full of stuff. We talk a lot about play, and there are an amazing amount of quotes by Chel, so check it out. We talk about inhibition, and in this episode I talk about Chel has a video where she's dancing freely in a room, and I love her inhibition, and I challenged myself to take this challenge. This morning I'm sitting in my bathrobe, which I spilled coffee on, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it would not be pretty for me to dance around in my bathrobe when I haven't showered. So I do have some reservations about doing this, but what my plan is to record a video of me dancing. I'm going to put it in our Facebook group, Unapologetically Sensitive. I'm going to challenge everybody that's in the group, if there's something you're feeling afraid of doing, to do it and post it in the group. It's a safe place. And as soon as I am showered and dressed and get my nerve up, I will let y'all know in the Facebook group that that's what we're doing. If anybody wants to join, hop on over to the Facebook group, Unapologetically Sensitive. We'd love to have you and build our community. In this episode, Chel talks about the different types of meditations, why it's a benefit, how it can help us calm and soothe our overactive nervous systems, and how you can do a mini meditation if you're standing in line, if you're driving in your car, how to reground, and the benefits of meditation. We also talk about J.P. Sears, and I thought that the video that he made was called How to Let Your Freak Flag Fly, but when I looked it up to post it in the show notes, it's actually called How Weird Are You? There's also a longer talk. It's a TED Talk that he does, and it's called Saying Yes to Your Weirdness. I've posted both of those in the show notes because I love his message. It's really about our uniqueness is what makes this world a beautiful place, and every time we try and be like everybody else, it just kind of wrecks it. So I want to tell you a little bit about Chel. Chel is a certified clinical hypnotherapist who's been in practice for over a decade and over 20 years of working with addicts and alcoholics. Chel has helped thousands of people let go of habits and thought patterns and redesign their lives for more joy, more freedom, and confidence. Through her guided meditation podcast, Meditation Minis, which has over 12 million downloads, she's helped people create more calmer, clearer, and happier lives. Her mission is to be an agent of change, of powerful, positive change for the planet, and her passion is to that light that sparks in people's eyes when that change occurs. This is just an amazing episode, and like I said at the end, there's a special meditation that she created just for the listeners. If you find that you're struggling with relationships, feeling overwhelmed, having a difficult time, and you'd like to work with me, I work virtually online with people in California and in San Diego in person. You can jump over to my website at patriciayounglcsw.com. You can find out how to contact me for any other questions in the show note. I'm going to do my closing now because at the end of my talk with Chel, I just want it to go straight into the meditation and end. No music at the end of this episode. Remember, sensitivity is nothing to apologize for. It's our superpower. Have a blessed day. Hey, Chel, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
I am so excited that you're here. It really felt like kind of a big ask when I reached out, just asking if you were going to be doing a meditation over the holiday that I could use on the podcast. And then when you said that you would come on and make a special meditation for my listeners, I just did the biggest happy dance.
I'm so glad that I could help provide that for you. I think everybody gets to do a little happy dance much more frequently than we typically do.
I know one of the things I want to talk about, and I don't know if we want to do it now or later, but I love the video that you put on Facebook of you dancing around in your room. Why don't we just lead off with that? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, well, I love music. And one of the things that I have really practiced stepping into the past really 5 years has been to renew my sense of play in life, to do things and do them with excellence, but to set aside perfection and to really step into this idea of playfulness. And for me, putting a video of me dancing on Facebook was really scary.
Yeah.
Usually I don't like to put myself out there quite that much, but also really fun and freeing and playful. So that's why it was there. And then it popped up again, and they do that whole, like, a year ago, you shared this. So I reshared it because it literally came up the day that I was flying to LA to be able to have some play with some old friends.
Wow. I'm kind of debating. I don't even really want to bring this up, but this has been on my heart ever since I saw you dancing, that I think many highly sensitive people, because we tend to be so cerebral and cognitive, we're deep thinkers and deep feelers. Many of us struggle with play and letting loose, and I'm probably one of the biggest ones. I really want to challenge myself that we have a small Facebook group, and I really want to challenge myself to record myself dancing. I'm just like,
I love it.
I'm thinking, can I retract this?
No, you've now put it out into the universe. You have made a contract declaration.
But I want that to be a safe place that I can just show up and be me, because I have, like, that sense of inhibition really feels scary, but I know that there's so much freedom on the other side of that. I know that.
Of course. And think how wonderful it's going to be. You get to inspire the other people in your Facebook group to step outside their comfort zone and step into play. Because, as a highly sensitive person, that's really important that we do bring more play in. Because if we're going to feel all the feels, like, why do we only get to have what we perceive as the negative feels? Why can't we outrageously feel the positives too?
Right. And I feel like I'm really good at feeling joy. There's definitely something about inhibition that I think tends to run pretty high for a number of us. And I can't tell you why, and I'm not even going to guess. But can you talk a little bit more about play, just because I love hearing about it?
Yeah, well, I believe that we get to choose what we believe. Beliefs that are nourishing to us, we get to choose to have more of. And beliefs that are depleting for us, we get to acknowledge and set aside. This is the practice that I attempt to live under. Because there's very little that is actually absolute shared truth amongst all. Like, very little. So most of what we take as truth is actually beliefs that we choose to believe. And if choosing to believe in my ability to have this be a playful existence, to believe that I came to this earth to explore, to play, that becomes incredibly nourishing, especially when you are somebody who's highly sensitive, somebody who's deeply intuitive, somebody who is always, thinking all the 100 different ways that something could transpire. we have these beautiful qualities of caretaking and, seeing the problems before anybody else even has the inkling that they exist. And that can feel very, very heavy. It can feel like I'm having to do everything. I'm the only one who can see all these things. I feel too much. I'm too much. And it feels very heavy. So what if I decide that I'm no longer going to choose to believe that depleting belief? And instead, I'm going to choose to believe that all of this is for play and exploration and adventure and fun. And I get to create more of that. That's not to say that everything we do is fun. I'm not talking about pissing off across the world and not taking care of our financial needs or our kids. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about incorporating play and fun into what we're already up to, even in a more powerful way.
Here's my question. I can remember being a really young kid standing at the deep end of the pool, and I had a dad who was not sensitive, period.
As many dads are not.
And I was a really cautious, fearful child. And so like jumping into the deep end and swimming in the deep, like he ended up bribing me that for every time I swam corner to corner, I got a candy bar. So guess what motivated me? Mm-hmm. That's what he did to motivate me. So when I think about play, like in my head, I totally get what you're talking about. And I have had moments where I've been really free and have let loose. But when I think about playing and letting loose, it's like I can almost feel my little kid self standing on the edge of the deep end. It's like I need to jump in and I'm just too darn scared. How do we take those first little steps when we know we want to cut loose? We know we don't want to be so inhibited. But like we're standing on the edge of the pool and it just feels really scary. How do we take those first steps?
I love this question. So the first thing I would suggest is that you talk to that little girl. Imagine yourself there, maybe already in the pool. And what does she need to hear from you that would allow her to feel comfortable to jump in and begin to play? And if it includes getting her a pair of water wings and, a unicorn hat, so be it. Like, what does she want? What does she need?
Oh my gosh, Chel, I had no idea what was going on. Like, I'm tearing up right now because, especially in my relationship with my dad, which was not long lived, it's been a pretty big source of wounding as I think many people experience. Like, that was so not a part of any part of our relationship about what did I need. That's pretty darn powerful.
Yeah. So let's go back to, let's ignore dad and imagine your adult self is in the pool. What does that little girl need from you? What does she need to feel? What encouraging words does she need? What actions? So that she can feel excited, scared excited, but excited enough to jump in and swim with you.
This is like,
and don't judge what comes up. Just like,
no, I'm not. I'm just seeing how incredibly powerful this is. And it's so interesting because it's how I operate with my clients, but just haven't given this to myself. And it's about getting in the water with her and supporting her and being there with her and jumping off this side of the pool with her. It's like she doesn't have to do it alone, that she's there fully loved, fully supported, ready to do it in her own time, but that I'm right there with her. And maybe this is why, you and I talked a little bit before we started and why I have such strong feelings about, I don't like to use the word underdog, but, it's like for me, the straggler standing on the side of the pool and everybody else is in the pool having a great time, that I have such a strong pull for those of us that are standing on the sidelines really wanting to jump in. I think because that was my experience so much and why creating an environment where people feel really supported and held and that, we're here with you. You're not standing alone on this side, why that's so important. Oh my gosh, Chel, this was so not what I expected this morning.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, welcome to an unexpected morning.
Unapologetically unexpected.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, you just do it with yourself. Like the idea of doing the Facebook dance video. If it were me, I would imagine like the fears that come up, the doubts that come up. I imagine them as little people, little versions of me. And I talk to them and I picture them having outrageous fun dancing, not caring, because kids up to a certain age, they do have outrageous fun. They don't care. They just do stuff.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And it's only when somebody turns to you and says, don't do that, what's wrong with you, that we start to then self-judge and self-loathe. So let's go back and let's embrace all of our little wounded kids and party with them, not in a way that they run roughshod over our life, right? Like we all have that inner kid that just wants the cookies all the time.
Right.
But we get to make cookies really special and a treat that happens like once a week instead of twice a day.
Right. So I'm thinking about the listeners. So for anybody that's struggling, my guess is that you have a sense of something that you would want to do that you're feeling afraid of doing. And so just like Chel said, to think about what that is and to go back to the little person, your younger version of yourself, and what is it that that younger version of yourself needs? And is there a way that you can provide support and walk him or her through that so that we can get on the other side? Because I know for a fact that there's just so much freedom and joy when we're able to let go of the fear and the control and what are people going to think. I think too that the parts of us that we weren't allowed to express, when we see that in kids or other people, it tends to rub us the wrong way and we want to shut it down because we don't allow it in ourselves. And so we've got to shut it down in others. What do you think, Chel?
Totally. I totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. We do that.
So I'm just loving this. What other pearls of wisdom do you have that I have no idea are going to come up? Because this is just unfolding in a way that I never would have expected, and I'm loving it.
I'm sure there's something in there. Well, we could talk a little bit about the benefits of meditation and guided meditation versus silent meditation for highly sensitive people. That might be, there's a huge difference between, I'm a hypnotherapist, first of all, because your listeners probably don't know that. I've been doing that work for over a decade. I have a guided meditation podcast that I've been doing for 4 years that has gotten very popular. For a while, about 20 years ago, I did more proper Buddhist-style silent meditation for about 2 years as a practice. And what I have found in all of this is that silent meditation, or a focal point meditation, which is when you concentrate on either a spot or a mantra or your breath or a word, this is really good for training your brain to focus better and to let go of distractions. It can also be used for mindfulness, which is the practice of noticing what you're thinking and feeling in the moment, because you no longer become as distracted by those things. Guided meditation, on the other hand, is really closer to hypnosis. Guided meditation can cause focus to increase, but it also reprograms your brain to have different reactions, because what you experience when you're in a light trance state, even if it's in a guided meditation way, your body and mind starts to have difficulty differentiating between reality and what you're just picturing. This is the power of imagination. This is the power of visualization. Guided meditation can be super useful if you're having a very overwhelmed day, to just sit for 5 or 10 minutes, listen to a good guided meditation that has you, chilling out at the beach or laying in a hammock or often connecting with nature is very soothing to us. And your body and mind will engage, number one, your relaxation response, your parasympathetic system, which is going to soothe your entire system. And then number two, because your body and mind can't tell the difference between what you're picturing in a light trance and reality, it starts to create more calm for you, so that when you come up out of the guided meditation, you actually do feel better for several reasons, on a physiology level and a mental level, which both affect then your emotions. And hypnosis is a way of kind of doing a guided meditation that has a lot more direct suggestion. So hypnosis tends to be about literally changing habits, which is a deeper form of what a guided meditation might do. All three of those things can be very helpful for people who are easily overwhelmed.
Yeah. I've listened to your meditation since I met you last year, 2017, at Podcast Movement. Oh, I hear the cat.
Yes, this is Kiki. She
Hey,
loves
Kiki.
to come and say hello. She doesn't understand when when I record my show, I have to hold her down next to me. It's the only thing that keeps her quiet, and she just feels so great when I do that. She's just happy.
I usually keep my dog on my lap because it keeps her from barking or scratching. And so I totally hear you. Hey, Kiki.
She's like, hello, I'm beautiful.
But I love the meditations that you do. And I think, and maybe you can speak to this, but I know that for people that have really active minds, silent meditation can be really challenging. And
oh my gosh, yes, it is.
yeah. So for me, either moving meditation, doing yoga with a mantra for the mind, or guided meditation keeps my brain engaged and I can relax. But if I try and sit and meditate, it ends up being more frustrating. So the guided meditations really are a good fit. What can you say about this?
Yes. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about the focal point meditation or silent meditation. It's good for a certain thing, but it's not good for relaxation. I made a show that I could listen to. I am a highly sensitive individual. I have lifelong ADD that I do not use medication for. And so I made a show that was 10-ish minutes because the idea of committing to 20 minutes is too much for me. And I kept it very topic specific so that when you're scrolling through, you're like, oh, yeah, I have anger today. Let me listen to this one. So that it becomes very solution focused. Like you, I find, even though I did do a proper Buddhist practice for a while, I find that extremely difficult and frustrating. I would say it's also very helpful, but it's, like I said, helpful for a different way. If you're trying to do a silent meditation, sitting silent meditation practice to calm yourself, the likelihood is that intention is farther down the learning curve than you might like. Now, if you were to sit down and say, I'm going to do this silent sitting, focused on my breathing practice 5 minutes a day, every day, just so I can train my brain better to let go of all the mindless thinking, the distractions, and to just keep practice coming back to this one thing. If that was your intention, then I bet meditation would work really well. After a couple of weeks, you'd probably up it to 10 minutes a day. So the intention behind why you're trying to do it, what you're hoping to get out of it, actually greatly colors your overall experience of not just meditation, but everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
That makes sense. And I've heard people say that they think that meditation, the point of meditation is to clear your mind, but it's really to just notice the thoughts that come up and to allow them to kind of move through your mind. But for those of us that really are very heavy into thinking, if you want to do silent meditation, I'm not telling anybody not to, but I guess I'm thinking more of for those of us that have tried it over and over and over and have not had a lot of success with it, there are other ways that we can meditate and get a great result if that doesn't work for you.
Totally. I'm much more into what I call micro meditations. And I think that the podcast for sure, and there is some other guided meditation work out there that also supports this. When you know how to go someplace, so let's say in your mind you take a couple of breaths, you're in a guided meditation situation, you picture a certain shade of blue, you have now attached to that this very relaxed feeling. Later on through the day, you could literally take a couple of breaths, think of that exact shade of blue, and it becomes a trigger in your body and mind to dip down to a slightly more relaxed space. I find the ability to micro-meditate throughout the day to return myself to a calmer, more centered place the most effective form of meditation that I've ever done in the overall ability for it to support my life.
Yeah. And those tools can be used if you're at the dentist. And I mean, I don't think anybody likes anybody poking around in their mouth, or you're driving somewhere and somebody cuts you off, or you're standing in line, or times when we get agitated and irritated during the day and we don't have control. Those are great times to bring in just this little bit of mindfulness. And it really does make a difference in how we can kind of calm and soothe ourselves, especially since our nervous systems are so finely tuned.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an incredibly powerful thing to do. And if guided meditation doesn't work for you, another thing would be to think of a piece of music that you love, that you find really calming and relaxing, and just hum it through your head.
Oh, I love that. So how did you get involved with meditation?
Ever since I was a kid, I was always really obsessed with like why people believe the things that they believe. I was really obsessed with like all the different kinds of religions in the world and the different practices that the religions had. I mean, I can remember like literally in fourth grade, fifth grade, we had the World Book Encyclopedia, and I would sit and read about that and horses and dogs and cats. I wanted to know all the things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And where do you get the music for your meditations?
So all of it is either music I have crafted as I've started moving into this past year and moving forward. I've been working more and more on making my own background music for the show. I've really enjoyed it. It's incredibly challenging for me because I don't actually play any instruments very well. The other thing that I have used is royalty-free music, and I have spent hours upon hours online searching through royalty-free tracks to find ones that I really, really like. And I'm kind of a jerk about audio. Like I'm super, super picky. And I think that it shows. I think that that's, one of those little things that has made my listeners very appreciative and tuning in more and more every week.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't mean it really literally as a jerk about finding music, but I think that it's your impeccable focus and desire for details is what makes your meditations so incredibly amazing. And it's really clear to me as a listener that the audio quality and the music and what you produce, you have really high standards for, and it's so clear in the meditations that you make. They're just amazing.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that warms my heart so much. And no, I mean, I'm kind of a jerk about it. I'm like, that's terrible. I could never use that. But you're right. It is because I'm very discerning. I'm very particular. I do have a high standard. And I know that 2 years ago, I actually was seriously thinking about giving the editing portion of my podcast to somebody else. There's a couple of great editors out there. But I remember sitting on the couch talking to the person I was dating at the time, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready to like pay somebody to edit the show for me. And he looked at me and he's like, you will never be able to pay somebody to do the kind of editing that you do. You will never be happy with what they create. I'm like, oh, you're right. So my show is completely from beginning to end all done by me. I consider every week I'm creating a little piece of art that I put out in the world.
Wow. So I'm a little disappointed hearing that. I have this love-hate relationship with editing. There's a part of me that loves it, and it kind of reminds me of math because it's like you can see on the recording tracks, like I can tell where my lip smacking is. I can see where my inhales are. There's a part of me that loves it, but it's really tedious. And so I've had this fantasy of like, at some point, I'd really like to outsource the editing, but I painstakingly remove every bloody inhale that I can. And I don't know that I'd get that quality. I mean, I still have a bunch of skills that I need to learn where I'm still limited in my editing capacity, but you kind of blew my fantasy about it one day outsourcing.
Well, I do think that anybody who does their own show they should edit at least the first 12 episodes because it does make you a much better host.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, for an interview style show, I imagine, because you're not mixing music in, and I do a lot of mixing of things, and because it is a guided meditation, I'll be listening. I'm like, oh, those words need to come together a little bit more, so I'll cut them together, or this part needs more space. Nobody else can do that but me. It really is like a song.
Yeah, and there's a skill, and you have an ear for certain things that I still don't have an ear for. Then I know that lots of people put music in right before somebody says something really significant. If I can just get a couple quotes out of an interview, I feel so incredibly lucky that...
Yes. And these are all things that as highly sensitive people, like, this is what we do, right? We get bogged down by the details, but at the same time, it gives us a high level of both discernment and of making great work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we are very detailed, very conscientious, and really hear, see, and notice things that other people don't. And so our work ethic tends to be pretty darn high.
It does. It does. And we get to play to our strengths while minimizing the things that aren't strong for us.
Right. I think it's harder for people that work for other people, work in open work environments, have supervisors and coworkers that don't value the trait of sensitivity. It can be incredibly draining and exhausting when you have somebody that is more focused on your deficits and really doesn't have a deep appreciation for the amazing qualities that we bring to our work and everything that we do.
Absolutely. I know when I worked in corporate America and in fashion design, it could be very, very overwhelming. I do think, though, that the more that we become educated about our strengths, the easier it becomes for us in those moments with others to reframe those uncomfortable conversations so that the other party can also begin to acknowledge our strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. Chel, we're about ready to wrap up. What would you want to tell your younger self about either being a highly sensitive person or just anything in general?
Oh my gosh, can I swear on your show? My younger self really likes the F-bomb.
I know. I'm trying not to swear on the show, and I love swearing.
So,
I can beep it out if you need.
It's okay. I don't have to really. Now everybody knows that my inner self really likes the F-bomb, so just sprinkle it in there in your own imagination. I would go back and I would tell my younger self, look, girl, there is only one of you in all of the universe. And there's only one of everybody else, too. So everybody gets to own their awesome. And the more you own your awesome, the more it gives other people permission to own their awesome. And those people who want to sit in the sidelines and yell at the people on the field who are getting dirty, don't be one of those people. It's so easy to be a critic. Be the person who's on the field, going for the goal, getting dirty, because, if you fail, it's all right. Which is a paraphrase of that famous man in the arena Roosevelt speech, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Brene Brown quotes that a lot. That's exactly what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're not out there getting vulnerable and playing and getting messy, then you don't have a right to criticize or comment about what we're doing. We're out there doing the work.
That's right. So just turn to those people who want to criticize you and tell them, yeah, I see you up there. Why don't you come down here? Step up, step out, make something happen, and then you can talk about it.
And I just want to repeat what you said. So if I had music, I would put music right before this. Everyone gets to own their awesome.
Yeah, they do. That would be my greatest joy, to see the whole world, everybody owning their awesome, whatever it is. My dog acts like my dog. If I expect my cat to act like my dog, I'm the only one who's upset by this. Everything gets to be its own awesome.
Yep. JP Sears, are you familiar with him?
Is he the one who does the spiritual, he kind of makes fun of the spiritual community?
Yes.
Yes.
He just did, and it's on Facebook. If I can find it, I'll put a link in the show notes, but he just did a talk on Fly Your Freak Flag. And it's the same thing, that all of us are freaks and geeks and didn't fit in, and to take that and to embrace it and to really love and embrace our geekiness and how we didn't fit in, because that's what makes the world a colorful, beautiful place. And for some reason, we get this color in between the lines, and flowers are red and leaves are green, and we lose our creativity and we end up not being able to own our own awesome.
Yes. We get to own our own awesome and let our freak flag fly. I love it. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. And for people who are listening, don't hesitate. Feel free to reach out to me personally. You can find me at chelhamilton.com. And any questions that you have, just reach out personally. I may not get back to you right away, but I will get back to you eventually.
Chel, is there anything else that you want to share with us before we go? Because I feel like this has been a little bit of a shorter interview. I want to use it as one of the bonus episodes and get it out to everybody sooner than later. So is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I would say that in those times when you are feeling overwhelmed and or in a place of doubt and dread, there is so much power in just acknowledging where you're at and taking 3 deep breaths. And with that, I'm complete.
All right. I love that. Thank you so much for being here today. And now you guys have the amazing, amazing gift of a meditation that was crafted especially for you from Chel. So enjoy your special gift. Thank you so much, Chel. Have a blessed day. If you happen to be driving while you're listening to the meditation, do not close your eyes. Please keep your eyes on the road and be safe, and listen to the meditation with your eyes closed when you are in a safe place.
Hello, this is Chel of the Meditation Minis podcast, and this is a special meditation that Patricia Young and I have collaborated on for the listeners of the Unapologetically Sensitive podcast. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable in your chair, and be sure that you're in a place where you are safe to close your eyes and tune out the world around you for a few minutes of time. And when you're ready, if you haven't done so already, go ahead now and close your eyes. Begin your process by taking the first of 3 deep breaths in through your nose, pausing at the top, and then exhaling through your mouth. And maybe on the second one, as you breathe in and pause and exhale with a sigh. And on the third one, breathing in through your nose, you can either exhale silently or with a sigh, or maybe even a smile as you begin to settle in for a time, allowing the sound of my voice and the music to begin to support you in relaxing a little bit more. And if there's sounds from time to time in the space around you, the room, the house, the building, as long as these are the sounds of everyday life, you can allow them to fade into the background. But should there ever be a sound that alerts you to an emergency or an urgency, then of course you will open your eyes and take care of that. So knowing that you're safe now, as long as any of the sounds that you hear are just the sounds of everyday life moving around you, I'd like you to take 3 more breaths, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, and allowing sighs on those exhales, really beginning to let yourself relax a little bit more. And you may find it interesting to notice how much more comfortable your body has already become in this breath than it was even just a few moments before. As you continue to relax and unwind, and if you feel like you need to tense your shoulders up to your ears and then wiggle them down, or wiggle your hips in your seat, stretch your arms or legs, or roll your neck. That's fine. And then take another deep breath and allow yourself to relax even more. Imagine what it would be like if the thoughts in your mind were to become slower and slower, like they're moving through molasses, just slowing down a little more with each passing moment. And know that you are safe and everything is being taken care of, most of which without you even having to think about it at all. Because the truth is, your body is beating your heart. It's moving your blood. It's making new blood cells. It's doing all kinds of miraculous things. If you have a scratch on your body, it is already healing. Everything is being taken care of. And what's true on this level is also true of the larger existence. Feel yourself supported by the chair, the seat that you're in, and imagine the support of that being supported by the earth itself. You are supported, and you don't have to do a thing. Let your body settle in a little bit more and know that you are not alone. There are other people on the planet right now with their eyes closed, breathing in calm and exhaling self-doubt. And imagine what it would feel like if in this moment you were to become more and more bathed in peace, washed in calm, knowing you and know that you are perfect exactly as you are. As you breathe in the quiet and feel the calm within you grow, you can relax. You can take a deep breath, pause at the top, and let it go. At least for a few moments now. Just drifting, relaxing, breathing in quiet, and exhaling self-doubt. You are perfect exactly as you are, and you can rest, and you can relax. You can breathe in, pause, and let it all go, allowing a state of greater peace and flow. And when you open your eyes from this meditation today, taking that peaceful flow with you more and more easily, more and more powerfully, each and every day, in so many ways, getting better and better all of the time as you breathe, pause, and let go. Embody